Oh my god. Where do I even begin? We're in 2021. It's a new year. And finally, it is the end of that god awful, horrendous year that was 2020. I mean, I didn't think we would make it, but here we are. 2020 has just been, without question, the worst thing to exist in the history of anything ever. Like I may have said in my Best of 2020 compilation, it's not just been because of the coronavirus. I mean, that would have been the fairly obvious one. Like, there are many other reasons why 2020 has just been absolutely god awful, god forbidden, horrendous, any word that I could throw at it, yeah. Like, obviously not just because of the coronavirus. We were on the brink of World War III. We've had the Australian bushfires, everything that led after the death of George Floyd. Black Lives Matter, by the way. We've had the California fires, the 2020 US election, anything in between that. There will probably just be a list of things scrolling at the bottom of the video. But in terms of robotic events, like, because what keeping on topic with this channel, there's barely been any. We've had no heavyweights in the UK. I mean, it was lucky for Ireland because they had one with Robo Riots, but most heavyweight robots in the UK have barely left the shed or wherever it is they're being kept. They're sat in the same place gathering dust all year. We've had no chance to get them operating, and we've had no chance to get them fighting out. Like, I have not touched Tango at all this year, and I've not ran it at all. I've not even set the batteries. I've not even given it a drive this year. It's just been sat in the same spots where it has been for the past entire year. Now, I do have big plans regarding Tango. I'm not willing to comment on that just yet. I am going to leave it quite a surprise because of what I'm doing with it. I think is going to surprise a lot of people, so I'll just leave it at that. I mean, 2020 wasn't shaping up to be that good of a year anyway. Like, starting off with the World War III scare I mentioned earlier, then we had Australian bushfires happening in February, and coming into late February, early March, we will have everywhere on the news coronavirus this, coronavirus that, COVID-19 this, COVID-19 that, new virus this, new virus that, blah, 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 blah. So then, in the middle of March, when it was considered a global pandemic, everything just went downhill from there. We pretty much weren't allowed to meet up with each other. I mean, there were people I would usually see on a regular basis, and either, as well as those who I see a few times or maybe a couple or once a year, I have not seen at all this year. It's just hard to believe that so many people who I've seen on a regular basis in this sport, people who are mainly involved with the heavyweights, I have just not seen them once this year. And come around September time, when we still weren't allowed to meet up with friends pretty much, but yet we could send kids to schools when they would be packed in the same room, and we prayed and preached to the government not to open up the schools in September, but they responded by ignoring that and fining anyone who didn't take their kids to schools. Because reasons. So then they opened up the schools, and up went the second wave. But then November came the second lockdown, and we were all told to stay at home, not to meet with each other's household. But then they still kept the schools open. Why? I don't know. I mean, what can we expect from a government that voted no to free school meals for starving kids, but yet happily said yes to these things right here? The government is an absolute disgrace. I mean, the world has just had, with easily the wrong leaders at the wrong time, apart from New Zealand. Like, seriously, New Zealand, without question, have done a far, far better job at handling this crisis than anyone else has ever had. Like, I don't even need to say who has done a terrible job. I think you already know, pretty much, because how they've been handling it, yeah. But notice how all the leaders of their own country, the ones who have done a terrible job at handling the coronavirus, happen to have had it themselves. There is a lot of stuff regarding how people have been handling this coronavirus crisis, but I don't want to get this video any more political than it has already, because I'm here to talk about robots. So now that we are in the new year, I am hoping that at some point this year, please, that we will be able to see each other without having to social distance, without needing PPE, without having to constantly hand sanitize our hands. Messed up that line, didn't I? Without having to wear a face covering, and without having to social distance, and without having anybody like alienate and demonize you over small, tiny little things that don't even matter. I have seen people who do one tiny little thing that normally wouldn't really matter, and yet you have one person who is inside who sees that and then publicly ridiculed. I mean, I am hoping at some point during 2021 that this whole pandemic does come to an end. It's not been doing good for me, it's not been doing good for my mental health, it's not been doing good for my income, it's not been doing good for my finances, it's not been doing good for my social life, it's not been doing good for my anything. Pre-COVID days, I would be pretty active. I went on long walks, I went running quite a lot, but obviously I haven't been doing that as much as I did back then. So as you can see, I have ended up gaining, I would say quite a few pounds, but I must have gained around like 20 to 30 pounds. But yeah, I just really need to start working out after this. And from this moment on, I don't quite know what else to say. I've just got as much as I can already off my chest. So I'm going to leave it there. And hopefully, at some point during this year, we can see each other. And that we will be able to get more events out of this year than we did last year. And especially heavyweight events, because I have been missing them. So, yeah, I wish you all the best. Stay safe. Get the jab. And let's just see what the hell 2021 is going to throw at us. So, peace out.